Hi, Sowjanya. I am so happy you are here with me and that people can get to know you. People from Slovenia get to know you and get to know Zoe and Zoe's story. So, if you can just tell a bit about yourself first so that people can get to know you.
Um, Firstly, hello and thank you for calling me. We were due for like a conversation for a long time, so be it in this manner. I'm Sowjanya. I am a Bucks backbed graduate and a certified canine behavior consultant and applied ethologist based in India. Um, my passion, of course, is working with dog parents and helping them figure out solutions for any difficult situations that they are facing with their dogs. But I love street dogs. I love talking about street dogs. I love observing street dogs. Um, and you will see that we are all big advocates of learning from street dogs. So you will hear me talk a lot about them as well. um, yeah, I think that's good enough. And I'm, of course, a dog mom to Sammy, who is no more with us, and Zoe, whom we're going to be talking about here, and three street dogs with whom I don't know what my relationship is yet. We are still figuring it out, I think, in the last 2 years.
Yeah, and I think it's such a privilege to have you here and to also hear about street dogs from a person that is sharing her life with them since you were born. So that's really amazing. So maybe we can start with Zoe's journey. Like how has it been, where you're at now?
Yeah. So Zoe is what, about 9.5 years? So I've had her for a good 9.5 years almost. When I didn't know better about adoptions and things like that. We brought her as a puppy, and I remember when we brought her, I was living with roommates. I was not living with my family, and she was a very young puppy, about 45 days, 60 days old. And I was also working from home. But, even when I brought her home, she would not like being left in a room. Let's say if I was, leaving the room and going out for something, or like leaving her behind at home and nobody was there at home. She didn't like it. Um, so this was like our first 3 4 months. I was always around. I was always with her, and I was away from home, which meant that I was her primary and the only caregiver when I was living with my roommates. So if I was stepping out, she would have had to be in my room, not in the common areas of the house. Um, so she would really not like being locked in a
Mm.
room, like, kept uh, alone, not have another human with her. She would not really like it. And when I moved back with my parents, and we also had Sammy there, um, we didn't have a lot of problem with her in terms of separation anxiety, because someone was there at home all the time. But we started noticing how she didn't like being left in a room locked up, or when there are people in the house being in a room, left away. Or if she was in different rooms, like she was alone in one room and Sammy was alone in another room and nobody else was there. So I think our recognition that she had some kind of anxiety of being alone or away from people happened very early on, when we were in such situations, because she was never left alone at home, usually. But we would see these kind of instances. And then, very when she was a puppy and we were trying to do a lot of other training, people were like, do crate training, it'll help you in the separation anxiety that you're facing as well. And of course, when we didn't know better, I tried the crate training. 5 minutes into the crate, she couldn't, right? Like she kept whining, clawing at the crate doors, uh, all of it. And it just, like, it didn't sit right with me, right? And then I was like, okay, fine, I really don't need this, right? Like, if nobody's there at home, Sammy's there. And some human is mostly there at home. We will figure this out for us as we go along, right? So that happened for a good, when did Sammy pass away? 2023. So about good 6 years, we didn't have an issue, right? So In between, we would like leave them for hours together by themselves at home. I had like different employment related changes. I would like work full time. I would like work from home. And even in all of these changing situations, we could manage Zoe because she was fine as long as Sammy was there with her. And she didn't know that there's any human in the house. If there's a human in the house, you can't lock her up in a room.
Mm.
Absolutely no, right? Great, all great till I think Sammy fell sick. He fell sick, and I think she sensed that she cannot rely on him anymore. To be this to someone that you can rely on, right? Like when you're alone, you have this companion that you're not alone, you're not scared alone. That's how I feel like Sammy and Zoe's relationship was. But when he started falling sick, it went away, right? Like she couldn't stay even if he was around and we were stepping out. And this I kind of recognized when I had just gotten married. I had moved in with my husband and in our marital home. Um, and about a week, 10 days later, I think I was supposed to go and meet Sindur, who is our, mentor. And so me and my husband, both of us were stepping out, and then we have a camera to, monitor our dogs all the time. And Sammy was sleeping, he was resting, and Zoe was completely restless, right? Like she kept
Mm.
walking around, she peed in the house, she kept panting. So we were about 10 minutes away from home, and we were like, okay, it's not working out. Let's go back home. We can't leave her out. And this is the first ever time that we've had a situation where Sammy's at home, she has somebody along with her, but she couldn't, like she was completely restless and we couldn't leave, and then we had to come back home, and then only I stepped out. My husband was with the dogs. So that's where our journey started, with like actually dealing with how to let leave our dogs at home and step out.
Mm.
Yeah, this was about 2 years, 2.5 years back, right? And anyway, Sammy fell sick and he had seizures and things like that. So somebody had to be at home to monitor him because of his health. So we were like, okay, fine. Between my husband and I, one of us will be at home, and both of us had a work from home job. So all of it worked out for us. Um, then Sammy passed away, which meant that now we 100% did not have anybody to stay with Zoe if we were to step out. And I think that's when a big part of how to address the situation started, because of course first couple of months I was not in a mood to step out anywhere. I was also dealing with grief of losing Sammy and things like that. But after one point you start feeling like like literal lockdown, right? Like you're not able to move around, you're not able to have a social life, especially like newly married couple. We were not stepping out anywhere together. um and if we were stepping out together, Zoe always was with us if we could take her along. So all our decisions of stepping out anywhere was either, okay, my husband would step out or I would step out.
Mhm.
Or if we both are going, can Zoe be taken together with us? If she can't be, then who will take care of her, right? So our questions around dealing with her anxiety, because I was already in the thick of whatever we were doing, was never about how do I get her to stay alone, uh, you
Mhm.
know, and get used to it, but more about how can I help her, uh, because she gets very uncomfortable. How can I make her more comfortable? So all our choices was what will make Zoe more comfortable, right?
Mm.
And I think that's where it started, the journey.
Yeah.
Do you want me to continue till where we are at now?
Yes, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think we went about it like this for a few months, where our decisions were mostly which is the best possible decision for us, right? Like we have a few on the table, which is one of us steps out, one of us stays with Zoe, and that's fine, or both of us step out and take her with us. And we were very mindful of not taking her everywhere, right? Because
Mm.
that's another thing that we tend to do with dogs who can't stay alone at home, which is like, okay, fine, like take them along with us everywhere. Um, but we didn't want to do that because I was very mindful of knowing what's comfortable for her, what's not okay for her, which places she would get more um anxious, where she would get more nervous, where she would get more hyper, or where she would be like, yeah, okay, fine, I couldn't care less about this, I want to sleep, or I'm going to just chill around here, right? So we had to make those decisions very mindfully. And our last option, and that I think was our most critical option, is who could take care of her in our absence.
Mm.
Um, and that was our biggest, support in our journey, and that was our support system. So my parents, who have taken care of Zoe ever since she was a young puppy, was our first tier of support system. If they could like take her, they could take care of her. They were at home, then we would drop her at their place, because it's still a home environment, still a space that she with people that she recognizes, she's comfortable with, who know her very well, and
Mm.
her quirks, her needs, all of it. So they were like our first go-to people. And I remember for the first 3-4 months, this is how we managed, right? Like, we would um, not take any external help. It was within the family, within all of us who could. And slowly I started, taking the help of our domestic worker. And we would ask her if she could be with Zoe for like an hour or two. We'll just step out for lunch and come. We'll just step out for like, buying something and coming, right? Like some kind of
Mm.
shopping, an errand, or like food, like lunch and things like that. Because we wanted to get her used to being with Zoe and get her comfortable with taking care of Zoe, and also for us to build the confidence that she can take care of a dog if we were to like leave her alone with Zoe for
Mm.
longer duration, right? And I think we started doing this very early on in our journey, not like, tomorrow we need to head somewhere and we need Zoe to be taken care of.
Mm.
And then we ask our house help, can you like be with her? Not like in the last minute, but we started building up for it very early on in our journey. So we started with her, then we started, trying a couple of pet sitters who would come home. Boarding was out of question for us, because again, boarding, um, she has always known boarding as a place she would go when Sammy was there. And she
Mm.
knew another dog there who she could rely on, right? So even if it's home boarding, even if it is like boarding where there are no kennels, but like dogs are free to move around, she has always known that space with Sammy. And I couldn't like send her away anywhere um, where she will be in a room or with other dogs without her knowing that she can rely on one other, individual. So boarding was out of question for us. So it was something that we can work out within our home, within her home, um, and see what works out best for us. So then we started getting pet sitters. We tried a couple of them, saw how it works for us. And so we started building up our support system, building up like, how long we can leave Zoe with a domestic worker. And we knew that there were challenges there, right? She couldn't stay late in the evening, she couldn't stay in the night. So we had her for some support system that we needed. We had pet sitters for another set of challenges that we had. If we had to stay out till late in the night, if we had to step out of the town, then pet sitters were the ones we were like, looking at. So we built our support system for a long time. And then, of course, 1 year down the line, I decided that I'm going to try and then do a full time engagement, which required me to like step out of the house. And my husband also then picked up another job that required him to like work from office. So both of us had to step out of the house for entire day, a
Yeah.
good 8-10 hours of not being at home. Which is fine. We figured out that our domestic worker can stay the entire day and take care of Zoe. But our actual challenge came when I was to be dropped to my bus stop early in the morning, like 6:30 a.m., which is early in India. Uh,
It's early here too, so.
it's very early for me. So it's very difficult to call, like, let's say, our domestic help at 6 a.m., right? So that was not an option. My parents stay 1 hour away, so it's not like we could go drop her there. My husband could like drop me to the bus stop and come back home. So those were not an option anymore, right? We can't call pet sitters early in the mornings for like an hour, and then none of those were options anymore, right? So we had to again figure it out in ourselves. And I'm not sure if you can hear something in my background, but that's Zoe eating. If you are able to hear anything, please don't
Oh,
think
yes, I can hear her.
I'm sorry, but she's eating here.
The star of this show.
Yes, she before our call was told Eva very clearly that she was hungry.
Yes.
Eva could
Yeah.
recognize that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So now she's being fed finally. So that's happening. Um so yeah, I was to be dropped to my bus stop. So our options was either I go figure out my own way to like go to the bus stop or not. Or we were like, okay, fine, like, let's take Zoe along with us. It's a matter of half an hour, right? So we started doing this, and my husband would come drop me, Zoe would come along and come back home, right? That was a half an hour, 45 minutes exercise, and it felt fine. Um and around this time, and I have to give a little bit of like sidetrack story here because
Okay.
it,
Okay.
it will make sense in a bit. We would have 3 street dogs who would come home and stay with us for most part of the the right now they stay most part of the day. Back then they would come for an hour, go out. It was a very ad hoc kind of a thing that at that time, right? So we didn't know who's going to come at what time, and will they stay the entire duration. So that was not known back then, right? So sometimes Lady is one of the dogs, Laddu is another, and Bala is a third. Bala is not consequential to this story because he doesn't stay indoors. But Lady and Laddu would come home and, stay at home, or, based on their interest, right? Like however long they want to stay. So when we started doing this exercise of dropping me to the bus stop, Laddu would always hang around our house, and then he would be like, no, I'll also come. So he would also come to drop me. So how my complete what do you call convoy was 2 dogs and my husband coming to drop me.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you, did you feel like very important because so many individuals escorted you to work?
Yes, but also it did not help me get out of my car and then go to work. It was
Yes,
not helping at all.
I can imagine.
Yeah, it was not a great thing, but I did feel very like privileged because I had like a street dog be like, oh, you're going, I want to come in and drop you wherever you're going. So I loved that. Um, so around this time when we were doing this for like about 2-3 months, Lady would come every day in the morning and then she would sleep through it all at home. So we knew that reliably Lady would stay at home for about an hour, 2 hours at that time, and she couldn't care less about the fact that we were stepping out and locking our doors and go out. So I realized that okay, fine, she is going to be at home the entire duration, right? And now Laddu was coming along with us every time. So we knew that Laddu also hangs around here around the same time. So that was happening. And then at home, when we were waking up at 6 o'clock and then 5:45, getting ready, the first few days Zoe would get up too, be like, oh, what is happening?
Mhm.
Where are you guys going? I'm also like, she would be full up and awake. Though slowly 2-3 months down the line, she was like, "How am I supposed to get up? I'm not interested. Like, really, do I need to do this every day?" Right? Like, we started seeing that happen. To a point where we had to like wake her up and be like, "Come, let's go. Like, we're getting late. Get up. Let's put harness on you and let's leave." We started reaching that point in our journey, right? So then we just on one of the days we were like, "Okay, fine. Let's just 1 second." My husband is walking around talking on the phone in the background. I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
Okay. Today we are a mess. Okay. But we'll take it.
No. No.
So one day we just decided, okay, fine, let's try leaving Zoe at home because we knew Lady would stay that entire duration at home. So
Mhm.
she will have one other individual. And Laddu was more interested in coming with us. I later realized because it was Zoe coming out of the house, not so much because I was going anywhere. It was not a great.
Oh. Oh.
So I hope that answers your question, how I felt about it.
Yes. 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 That puts a lot of things in perspective.
Yeah. He was not coming for me. He couldn't care less. So I also realized this, right? Like he was more interested in coming along because Zoe was coming along. And if she was not, he didn't mind staying at home.
Mhm.
And she liked Laddu a lot more than Lady. Like she and Lady have a, you stay in your place, I stay in my place. Let's not just be in each other's space at all. But
Yeah.
Laddu, she's a lot more comfortable with. So that particular day, I think Laddu was at home, Lady was at home, Zoe was not getting up. She was not up when we were getting dressed and everything. So I was like, okay, fine. Can we try this? Let her be at home. We anyway have camera to monitor what's happening. It's a quick 20-minute, 30-minute, bit, the entire thing. Let's try it and see what happens. And so we left the house. The camera is on in that car. We are monitoring. And the entire half an hour, Zoe has slept for the
Oh,
entire
wow.
thing. And
Wow.
we didn't think we will ever get there. And
Yeah.
we were so worried about like how are we going to manage the situation? How are we going to ensure that I get to my work on time? Zoe's, needs are taken care of. She doesn't feel distressed. All of this was happening. And so, when we reached this point 3-4 months down the line, we were like, amazing, right?
Mhm.
So we started doing this more regularly. So if she was asleep and she was not waking up, we would leave her at home, and Laddu or Lady or both of them would be at home. And we did that for a while, to a point where she was deep asleep till my husband came back too. Like he would come,
Wow.
open the door, come to the room, and she's still asleep. She couldn't care less that we have gone and come back, right?
Wow.
Uh, that was a great sign for us. And
Yeah.
then my husband started going out to the gym, right? So he would come back home, pick up his gym kit and gym bag, and then go to the gym. Another 1 hour, 15 minutes, and come back home. So there was a good almost 2 hours, right? Like we were touching
Yeah.
2 hours, which was great for us because we started realizing how we could let her be alone if we had to let her be alone at home. And now it's become a regular occurrence for us where we go in the morning, we go for a walk for an hour, sometimes we go for a swim and a walk. It's a good 2 hours, even if she's awake. So nowadays, even if she's awake when we're stepping out, she's like, okay, you're going to come back. I don't care that you're stepping out.
Yeah.
And we can step out for 2 hours. I think there was once we touched a 3 hour window because we stepped out for something very early in the morning, and our house help was supposed to come home, and we had asked her to keep the keys with her, and she came a little later. So we touched a good 3 hour window, leaving Zoe, Laddu, and Lady at home, which was okay. Like now I knew that if we had an emergency situation, if we had to like
Yeah.
immediately step out for something, we can do it with 3 hours. And 3 hours is more than enough because some human will reach home in that window to take care of Zoe,
Mm.
which is what we have built the
Yeah.
situation over the last 2.5 years. And I know I shared one document with you before when we were planning this, and I had written that, 2 hours is good enough. Morning times we can leave her alone. That's great. We don't need anything else. And something amazing happened this week. Like just 2-3 days back. Um, on a whim, I told my husband, I just want to step out. Can we both step out for like a small thing that we had to buy? It was going to be like a matter of 15-20 minutes. But it was in the evening. We didn't have my house help at that time. My parents, of course, can't come from like 1.5 hours away. So we were like, okay, fine, let's try it. It's just a matter of 10-15 minutes. Zoe was sleeping. I suggested it to my husband, and then he was like, okay, fine, let me go quickly get changed and come. By the time he came, Zoe was up. So I was like, okay, what are we going to do now? She's up. She may not allow us to go. Should I just go by myself and come and everything? You can hear me? Sorry, you
Yes.
froze.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes. Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we're like, okay, let's try it. So we quietly went. We told her we'll come back in a bit. She was awake when we stepped out. This was evening. We stepped out for half an hour. The entire half an hour, though she was awake, she was not pacing around. She
Mhm.
was not restless. She was not agitated. She was not scratching on the door, which is her thing to do when she is not happy about being left behind. Um, which was a great win because
Yes.
I never thought evenings I could let her be at home when she's awake, on a whim decide to go out and
Mhm.
come back. I never thought I could get here.
Yeah.
So that has been our, you know, um, journey.
Yeah.
with Zoe. I don't know if I would exactly call it separation anxiety or what, I don't know, but I kind of
Yeah.
tell that, she hates being left behind,
Yeah.
and left behind in like in any different, any way that you want to put it, because she hates being left behind in a room. She hates being left behind if she knows that a human is there at home and she's not involved in, in that interaction, or left behind at home, without a human presence and
Mm.
someone to take care of her. So I know that she gets nervous and anxious about it. And I think she saw Sammy as a companion for a long time. That, his inability to show up for her, or his passing, made this journey a lot more, you know important for us to like get to a point
Mm.
where we find reliable support systems. And I think I've told this before also, that for us, support systems ended up being dogs and
Yeah.
street dogs, right? Like, of course, there were other support systems also, but a dog can also be support system. In her case, may not be in all cases, but we found like some great support system through our entire journey. So
Mm.
yeah, that's been our story.
It's so amazing because even after like so many time has passed, like there is still change going on, right? Zoe was capable of doing something that you never thought would happen, like her being left alone in the evening, which was a big no-no, right? Even like a week ago, let's say, right? It was
Yeah.
no, no, and now it's like, okay, yeah, I'm okay with this. Oh gosh, I have so many questions for you, and if anyone watching also has any question, like write it in the comment, and Sowjanya and me will answer it. Um, but one question that I think comes up very often is, so people are told you when you get a dog, adopt a dog, a puppy, adult dog, whatever, you have to start training them to be able to be left alone as soon as possible. As soon as possible. Maybe even like not maybe the first day that they get home, but like the next day, yes, start it, right? And so I just wanted to ask you, did people say to you, oh, you did not train her enough, train her in a proper way, and that's why you now have this problem?
I mean, I think we get that a lot of times in different situations, right? So of course, I think what happened was I was given a lot of training advice very early on in my in Zoe's life, actually, with Sammy. And this is the thing, right? Like, I think there will be one dog who will come up in your life and be like, you need to learn better and do
Mm,
better. Sammy was tolerant to everything that we did with him, right? Like, he has been the dog who was left alone for 8 hours, 10 hours, couldn't care less. He was like, okay, fine, I will deal with it. We have put him through the entire training journey, and he was like, I'll tolerate everything. And I say tolerate very mind. Like, I know he was tolerating it, because when we stopped doing all of it, our relationship changed so much for the positive. So I know I'm using the word tolerant in a very mindful way, because I feel like he was tolerating what we were doing. Zoe was like, no, you need to do better, right? So when during Zoe's journey, when we were getting a lot of training advice for a lot of other things, we were facing a lot of other situations with her. We had her destroying things at home. She was a very hyper puppy who would constantly go to like nip at people's legs. And she was very fast. My mom, I remember, would sit on like the top of the sofas, so that Zoe doesn't get to her.
oh no.
Yeah. And we were always scared of her growing up, right? Because if she like becomes bigger in size, she can jump up the sofa. So now nowhere for us to go, right? So we have had those days. So we have had other issues with her where people were like, training, training, training. But she was like, no, what you're doing is not helping the situation, because it's not helping you see me and
Mm,
listen to what I'm having to say. And that kind of changed very early on in our life, right? With Zoe, because that's when I found bugs. That's when I changed the entire approach and took up the box way. So when we came down to the whole separation anxiety, especially what we were like in the thick of it about 2.5 years back, I already knew that this is what I wanted to do. And I think, but of course, there are people who will be like, you should have let her be alone. You should have not given her that much attention or get so attached to you. And this is something that we see people talk about for lockdown puppies, right? Like
Mhm.
dogs who were brought home during lockdown are seen in such a light where, oh, they're so overly dependent, oh, they're not very well socialized, or, they didn't get the right kind of training in their early years because they were lockdown puppies. So now they have a lot of behavior issues,
Mm.
right? Um, so yes, this advice, of course, this opinion that, we
Yeah.
didn't teach her to be alone uh, comes up a lot, but we did try to teach her a lot of other things. And she was like, what you're trying to teach me is not what is helping you or me. Like,
Mhm.
go figure the right things. And I think she was very early on, very, very straight about her boundaries that, if this is not okay for me, this is not okay for me. And I'll let you know about it. So I remember when we in 2017 we moved to our house where we had built these like outdoor kennels in our apartment. So we had like a big terrace and we created like a kennel for the dogs there, and we were like, okay, fine, through the day they can sleep there, right? And they could be kept in the kennels. There was one for Zoe, one for Sammy, and then there was a space that they could like get out of, that kennel and then spend time, but mostly in that area, right? And if there were humans at home, Zoe would go nuts, just scratching on the terrace door, being like, let me in, let me in, let me in, right? She would let us be known that she was not happy with what's happening, right?
Mm.
Um, so very early on, we realized that we can't deal with this by like teaching her to be alone, because she's like, this is not what I need to be learning, and this is not what you need to be doing. That
Yeah.
was very early on for us. In a lot of other things, before, which is what kind of pushed us to the Bucks way, and then we never looked back. And the other thing is, I feel like this expectation of teaching dogs to stay alone is itself a little unfair, in
Mm.
my opinion, because I mean, I can compare them with babies and be like, babies don't be, you don't leave like an infant alone, right?
Mm.
There is a caregiver till they develop to a certain level, to a certain age where they're able to manage by themselves. In fact, I think a lot of people have started reversing this idea of leaving babies sleeping alone, right? And then toddlers sleeping alone. And then they have started realizing that that's actually detrimental to their,
Mhm.
development and their well-being, and also their attachment to their caregivers. So people have started going back to how we used to do things, where
Yeah.
caregivers are present for the children. But even not comparing it with humans, if I can share my own experiences of what I've observed of dogs living by themselves,
Mhm.
as free living dogs, we rarely see dogs being alone,
Mhm.
right? Like they're
Yeah.
rarely alone by themselves with nobody to rely on when they need somebody.
Mhm.
And especially not at such a young age, with puppies. I have such adorable photos of puppies just like lying on top of their mums and being around their moms. So cute. They're
Yeah.
never alone. So why this expectation of dogs,
Yeah.
especially companion dogs, to stay alone for extended periods of time?
Yeah.
The only answer, I suppose, is because our lifestyle is such that, we tend to step out of the house for so long. And
Mhm.
so now we want the dogs to be comfortable, though that is not what they need. So if we are coming from the point of view of the dog's well being, the dog's welfare, then
Yeah.
is this a fair expectation to have? Is something that we need to think for ourselves. So I think when we started working with the separation anxiety part, I was like, there is no way I'm expecting her to stay alone for that many number of hours. In fact, I'm not expecting her to stay alone at all.
Mm.
I'm expecting her to or find ways in which something works for her and us, and it's sustainable for long period, long term, right? And I felt like support system was our go to when we were thinking about it. So I think uh, our expectations itself with our dogs as to what we want of them, I think we need to like relook at it,
Mm.
especially with like letting them be alone, getting
Mhm.
them to stay alone. Mm, yeah.
So, um, and you also like now mentioned that we rarely see, or you rarely see street dogs alone without any other dog around. And you also mentioned like how the support system helped you from humans and dogs alike. And do you think that this sense of community is being undervalued or even forgotten about today, despite us humans and dogs being extremely like social species, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think we see that. So I don't. I mean, a little bit of context for the how we grew up in Indian
Mm,
households, also, right? Like we had this concept of joint family till very recently, right? Like nuclear families, which is parents and kids, uh, is a thing of very recent, like past 2 decades, I would say, right? Prior to this, you would live with your grandparents and, your uncles and aunts and your cousins. So you were actually like a huge family of people
mhm,
who would then take care of the young ones, right? So let's say if parents are going somewhere, uncles and aunts would take care. In fact, my mom, my sister, and I were taken care of by our aunts because my parents would like step out for work and they were like working in corporate jobs. They were like stepping out for 8-10 hours, and we would be taken care of by my aunt. Like she would pick us up from our bus stop after school, and then we would come home. She would give us our evening snacks. We would do our homeworks in her house with my cousin sister who was elder to us, and then we would come back home. My parents would come to her house and pick us up and then bring us home, and this went on till I was almost 15 years old, 15, 16 years old. So I've been raised not just by my parents, but also by my aunt, my sister, my cousin, who's my aunt's daughter, and we were all raised together, right? And so I think this idea of joint family is something that we see in our culture a lot. So kids are being raised by grandparents, aunts, uncles, like by a community, right?
mhm,
And I think that has started to go away even in India. So we now live in nuclear families, husband, wife, children is the thing now. Um, and so the people find it a lot more challenging now in
mhm,
terms of how to raise kids. I assume this again extends to dogs too, right? Because
yeah.
now you're working professionals, working couple, having to step out for 8-10 hours a day, longer, depending if you're in metro cities and, lot of travel time, and you don't have anybody to take care of kids, you don't have anybody to take care of dogs, so you don't know what to do. And then comes a lot of other questions about, you need a daycare facility, you need a boarding facility, you need like nannies, you need etc etc etc, right? So
Yeah.
I think as a culture in India, I have seen, and we have seen joint families for so like until so recently, that we do value community, we do value like, if I'm not there, can someone else take care of somebody who I care for. In
Mm,
fact, my grandmother fell sick, pretty sick, about couple of months back, and we had my aunts, my father, my mother, all of them going, but we also had uh, very far relatives whom my grandmother has taken care of. They
mm,
would come from like small towns and stay with her in the hospital, because that's the community care that we're talking about. And this
yeah.
is for no monetary benefit. They're not being
Mhm,
remunerated for the time that they spend for caregiving. This is all out of just, I think, the relationship that you build with people over a
mhm,
period of time in a community kind of living. So I think that kind of care, that kind of community, we tend to see in our culture a lot more. So we do rely on people also. So of course it's not as prominent with dogs as it is with kids and things like that, but why not, right? Like rely on people that who are dog lovers, who have dogs themselves, who may have a few hours to spare, but don't have a dog of their own at home because they're
Yeah.
not allowed to for some reason, but they can come and take care of your dog. That I think we need to build that kind of a support system. And I think this is so whenever I get clients who say I have a dog with separation anxiety, my first thing is support system. What's your support system like,
Mm.
right? Do you have friends? Do you have roommates? Do you have house help who can like extend their hours a little more than they're doing right now? Do you have pet sitters, right? Like, what is the level? Family, your parents, your
Mm.
spouses, kids, whatever it is, right? Like families. So I think support system is such a big critical part of this journey, because I think the first rule of separation anxiety, especially in the way that we approach, is to never leave the dog alone.
Mm.
Especially never put them in that space of discomfort where
Yeah.
they're not yet ready for where they are. Like I did not put Zoe in like leaving her behind at home till she told me very clearly that she's not interested in coming. She's happy staying back, right?
It's like,
So
I'm
till
gonna sleep, you just go.
yeah, you do your hustle culture. I don't
Yeah.
need this.
I don't subscribe to the hustle culture.
So that I mean, there was a thing where it was getting difficult for me to step out of the house because she was snoring right next to me, and then I was like, she's snoring, and I need to step out. But that happened. But still, I think if we didn't have that support system, I could never have the ability to be like, okay, fine, I'm not going to put Zoe in a space where she's not ready for, and
Mm.
we or take the journey at her pace, at her level, also, right?
Mm.
Like even what we did this week is not something that we had planned for, is not something that we would need repeatedly. But now I know she can handle it, even if it's for like 15-20 minutes. So tomorrow, if I am in a situation where I have to step out for 20 minutes in the evening and I have nothing else to rely on, I know that she will not be distressed.
Mm.
And her being distressed, in fact, this has also happened, and I need to point this out also, that there have been a couple of times where we have left her in the morning. She's been completely uncomfortable the entire duration, and so we go back and then not leave her alone for a few
Mm.
days, get her comfortable back to how it was, and then leave her alone again,
Mm.
right? Or leave her for lesser duration, but not immediately, not this immediate next day, right?
Yeah.
So it's again important to recognize where the dog is at. And all of that has been possible because we had a support system at hand.
Mm. Yeah. Um, when we talk with people, with clients, yeah, like go at your dog's pace. A lot of time people are like, yeah, but then nothing will change. If we go at the dog's pace, my dog will never want to be left alone. And we know that that's not true. No matter what kind of behaviors the dog is experiencing, they will move forward, if we can say forward. Like the behavior will change. And it may be hard to believe for some people, especially for people that have not experienced that yet, have not seen it with their own eyes. But it's pretty amazing because they will tell you, okay, I am ready for this next step. Let's go. I am ready. Uh,
Yeah, yeah, they do.
yeah.
And I think it's probably because we take it at their pace, right? And do things the way they are comfortable with. Because I think with a lot of these things, but also with separation anxiety, there's a matter of trust, right?
Yeah.
Like, uh, I need Zoe to believe me that I'm going and coming back.
Yeah.
Uh, I need her to believe me that I will not push her to do things that she's not comfortable with.
Mm.
And I need her to be like, oh, you're just going for like an hour and come back. I can handle. I'm a big girl. I can handle that. Right. I mean, for her to be able to say that, she needs to trust what I'm doing. And that trust only comes when I listen to her first. Right.
Mm.
Like I'm listening to her that, if she's telling me that today I'm not comfortable, I'm not staying alone today.
Mm.
And if I'm able to listen to her, she'll be like, oh, okay. I can trust you.
Yeah.
You're,
Yeah.
you're somebody that I can rely on. So I think that's the other bit that we forget, right? Like and this is big thing that is spoken about our approach, right? That, it's all about just us giving and giving and giving all the time, giving into whatever our dogs need without us asking anything in return. But in fact, every single time we have left Zoe alone at home, I'm asking something of her and she is giving that to me in return. And
Yeah.
that has happened because I have also given her what she needed when she needed it.
Yeah.
And that kind of a relationship building, that kind of respect of the other person and that kind of trust on the other individual is so critical. And I think that change does happen, and it happens because of the relationship building. And I think we forget that part of it, uh, especially when we have these expectations, right? Like, I need my dog to get to this point at this pace. There is a frustration that shows up in the relationship that this is not happening, right? Like, why aren't you listening to me now?
Yeah.
And it seems like we're only doing it because we want the dog to listen to us. Like, that's the end goal, not so much as, okay, fine, like, what, how can we build a relationship
Hmm.
for a more mutually healthy, coexistence, I
Yeah.
would say. But I think for that, we need to be able to give uh unconditionally before
Yeah.
we start, feeling like, okay, when can we ask from them. I think that giving unconditionally before is important. That changes all our expectations in the, when we start doing it. And then when they start giving us back, it's actually not because we are demanding it of them.
Mhm.
It becomes so much of, I do love you, I do trust you, I respect you, you need this right now, yes,
Yeah.
I'll do this for you, right? And that happens not because of this conditional transaction, but so much more because of that relationship that we have built over a period of time.
Hmm. And they know because we've showed up for them, they know that, okay, if I feel scared, if I feel uncomfortable, they will be there for me. And because of that, I'm more secure. I'm braver to do this thing that's hard for me, but it's okay because I am safe. They are there for me. And yeah, people, I don't know if people realize that, especially people that are obsessed, like professionals obsessed with training and stuff, like how many things dogs are capable of, like cognitive, like think about, process, how they experience stuff. And I think we are doing them a great disservice by not trusting in their like intelligence. They are very
Yeah,
smart beings.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, totally. I think we disregard that ability, right? Like, I think we tend to see that only what we can teach them is what they can learn.
mm,
And we're also assuming that what we're teaching is what they're learning.
yeah. Yes.
I
Yes.
mean, I could be leaving Zoe alone at home, and she could be behaviorally, superficially, be okay. And I'll be like, oh yeah, she's learning what I'm teaching her. Yes, she's
Mm,
learning to be alone at home. But maybe she's like, I'm so done with this woman. Or
mm,
I couldn't care for this person anymore. Or she could be like, I am so done with life.
mm,
Nothing in my life is going right, and nothing of what I need I'm getting. That's what learned
yeah.
helplessness translates to, right? Or she could be like, I can't take this, I'm not even processing what's happening, shut down, right?
Mm,
Like, what is our guarantee that if I am teaching my dog something, assuming I am in a position to teach my dog anything, that they're learning whatever we are trying to teach them, right?
mm,
So I think that itself is first question mark. um the second is, of course, without even thinking about their abilities, their capabilities,
mm,
and the fact that they have, like, um she can stay at home if she's asleep, right? If she's not asleep, she could be pacing around a little bit. She could be moving around a little bit, but not pacing.
mm,
She could scratch the door. Like, there are different levels to how she's coping, even if she's not very comfortable, right?
mm,
There could be in some situations, like what happened 2 3 days back. she was not fully comfortable, but she was not distressed, right? Like there was
Mhm.
this in between space. Uh, but she showed me that tomorrow, if I had to do that because of an emergency, she can handle it. Like she can cope with it,
Yeah.
right? She showed that to me, but she was awake. She moved a couple of places, like she changed from one place to another place, and that's about it. She was awake. She was not sleeping. The fact that she was not sleeping was my clue to the fact that she was not fully comfortable. She was a little bit uncomfortable, but that was like how I could understand about the situation. So that
Yeah.
tomorrow, I'm like, okay, fine. If I'm having to leave her in the evening, if that is something that I want as a goal now, then I will work towards in her pace. But now I also know that she can be at home if there's an emergency. So I don't have to do it every day. But that I'm only able to read because I'm letting her,
Mhm.
you know, uh, be have that agency of what to do in that situation, how she's coping with that situation, so that I can read better about what she's telling. And because I can read better, I can respond better. And that kind of also ties into the relationship
Yeah.
bit that we are talking about. So
Yeah.
I think we kind of, by ignoring their ability of learning and by ignoring their ability of just existing and coexisting with us and assuming that whatever we teach is the only things that they learn, I think we're doing a huge disservice to them.
Yeah. Yeah. And that what we are learning is the most important thing that they have to learn.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's why we never, this was never important to us till it became important to us,
Mm.
right? Like, in fact, I could go without having to get her to be alone. Even today, like, apart from the 1 hour in the morning, she's never alone at home. There is somebody, and we have
Yeah.
ensured that we have a lifestyle where there is somebody with her at all times. So I really don't need her to learn to be alone. But whatever we have learned, I mean, done till now is so that it prepares us for a situation. And
Yeah.
I think this is something that we make a mistake in some of the things, which is we try and then solve that problem when we're in it, like
Yeah.
completely right in that situation, right? Like we started building the support system that we have much before my husband and I had to step out of the house for
Mhm.
our full time work, right? We
Yeah.
started doing this much earlier, which is why our journey later became much easier for us. It didn't feel like such a big issue. I mean, we always knew we had somebody to rely on to take care of Zoe, and she would never have to be in distress because honestly, if she's in distress, me having to step out will never happen, right? Because
Mhm.
it becomes very hard to step out knowing my dog is distressed at home. She's like probably ripping things apart. She's peeing and pooping all over the house. She is scratching the doors. This is not a pleasant thing at all for
Yeah.
anybody. And for me to step out knowing this is where I'm leaving her is very hard. So if I need to get to what I want to, I need to give her what she needs so that I should be able
Mhm.
to do what I want to do. So I think I completely lost the train of what was your point and my thought. You see, that happens.
Yes, okay.
But yeah, I think I said I have blabbed a little bit and yapped a little bit, so it should make sense in
Yeah.
some way.
Yes. No, but I was just thinking like how this um thought that, oh, we have to train dogs to be in order for them to be like, comfortable being alone. So I had like three dogs in my life altogether, and I have a privilege that I live in the same house as my grandmother, my mother. So there is always someone home. So none of my dogs has been trained to be able to be left alone. Um, and so if the thought that they have to be trained in order to be okay with being left alone it would is true, then all my dogs would have separate, let's call it separation anxiety, but none of them do, right? And we forget, I mean not we, but like people in general forget like behavior is It's is a result of so many things that we cannot reduce it to, oh, this happened because the dog was not trained, or this didn't happen because you trained your dog. And looking at this brings me to my next question. um Oftentimes where there is a behavior that people want to address, the suggestion is solely focused on that behavior. So let's take separation anxiety. The only thing that people are told to focus on is, okay, now leave your dog for 5 minutes and then come back for 10 minutes and then come back, and everything else around it is ignored. But I know that you did not address that in this way. So can you talk about the broader picture of Zoe's life? What other changes did you make in order for her to be more comfortable with staying alone for 1 hour, 2 hours, and so on?
Um, I think one of the things, and because we entered this entire separation anxiety phase much after whatever the work that we have been doing, right? Like, which is Bach's way, the Bach's approach. One important thing is the kind of lifestyle that we have for her is so low on stress, right? Like, and I think this is one. I was very lucky that very early on, from other professional, some other professionals also who follow very similar approach. One of the things that they would say, and we also now say to our clients, is try and eliminate all stressors first, right? Because I think that sometimes all the stressors are so high that separation anxiety, even if your dog finds being alone uncomfortable, because they're so stressed, because of all of the other things, that lifestyle is so stressful, that this amplifies, right? Like, they're unable to cope with this stressor, which happens to a lot of us also, right? Like, I think when I am very in a very high stress lifestyle or routine, my social anxiety increases a lot, right? Like, it's not that I am someone with social anxiety. I am neurodivergent, so I am sensitive to certain kinds of sensory stimulation. I am sensitive to how I spend my energy. But it happens a lot more. Like, I become a lot more sensitive when I am a lot more stressed. So I think one of the important things that I tend to tell my clients, and what we did with Zoe also, is just like decompress and de-stress, and like live that kind of a lifestyle where your dog's needs are met, you know for most of the times. They are they're able to communicate, we are able to listen, build that relationship. So I think building relationship and having the kind of lifestyle that works for your dog, where I think Zoe sleeps a good 16, 18 hours. So she gets good quality sleep, the right amount of sleep. She has social connection. She has, she's fed well when she needs, like how you just saw some time back. So again, we listen to her not just about separation anxiety, right? Like, we listen to her in so many other different occasions that contribute to the relationship that we build, which helps us during that separation anxiety related situations, right? Like, uh, what I mentioned just before our call was that, she was tapping on the bowl, and this is not actually her, meal time. But because she was tapping at the bowl, I knew she was hungry, and so we were like, okay, fine, let's feed her. That is listening to the dog. So I think building your relationship with your dog, and the kind of lifestyle we have where it's minimal stress, not zero stress. I don't think zero stress is any way achievable, especially with the kind of lives that we lead. And because they share their lives with us, zero stress is not possible. Um, so minimal stress, there are meeting their needs, building relationship. These three things, I think, was something that we did consistently over a long period of time. Like, that became a lifestyle for us, right? Like, it was not a training session. It was not a training course or whatever. It was mostly like a lifestyle choice that we started doing for her, for us, the slow life. the listening to the body, listening to her, slowing down and being there for each other, build connection, build safe attachment. That became a life for us, right? And when we did that, um, like even the separation anxiety that started showing up was actually not because of actually leaving her alone in itself, but because I had just gotten married. We had moved into this new house.
Yeah.
This new house was something that she had not been left alone before at all. She didn't have a balcony space that she could go out, feel like there's an exit, right? In our house before this, where Sammy, Zoe, and I would share the space, there was an exit from my room to a large balcony which opened to the outdoors, so that you would not get a feeling of stuck in
Mm-hmm.
indoors, which is the house setup we have right now. So there is a feeling of being stuck indoors, not being able to step out, not having access to like eliminate. It could be that was her
Yeah.
more distress that I don't know where to eliminate than actually being alone, right? So having had like tackled all other issues, and having tackled everything, so when we actually started leaving her behind here, she had gotten used to this house. She had gotten used to this environment, this space. Except at one time when my husband had to like then halfway come back. Other than that, I think we built her comfort around this house, a comfort
Mhm.
around this new environment, this new routine, this new people that she's having to like get comfortable with, be it our domestic worker or new sitters and all that. So I think all of that kind of contributed to how she would cope when she was left behind alone.
Mhm.
Even the two dogs that she would then be left alone with, we had to know 100% that they're comfortable around each
Yeah.
other and not distressed around each other,
Mhm.
to then say, okay, fine, then you we can leave you all unsupervised and step out and come back to all three dogs
Mhm.
being fine. Right?
Yeah.
So I think all of that work, the relationship building, the social interaction, the routine, the lifestyle, meeting the needs, all of that was the foundational work to get to where we did. Even when, for us to know that when we left her alone, that she's getting distressed because she's being left alone, not because she has a high stress lifestyle otherwise.
Yeah.
um and because she has a high stress lifestyle otherwise, her separation anxiety also looks a lot more amplified, which otherwise wouldn't be the case if, let's say, she was a lot more, she was able to cope with life better,
Mhm.
right? uh so when she started getting distressed on being left alone, I knew for sure this is a distress of being left
Mhm.
behind, left alone, not a result of a lot of
Yeah.
other things, right?
Yeah.
So I think all of that was critical. One other important thing that I learned while working on one of the cases was how dogs who tend to have separation anxiety have a lot more amplified separation anxiety if they were at the front doors, at
Mm.
at the entrance doors, where
Yeah.
there is a lot more activity of people
Yeah.
moving past their home. So we would also attempt this, right, of keeping her a little away from. Of course, Zoe does not have guarding instincts at all. So she was like, I couldn't care less who was passing by our house. I couldn't care less, but I had to do that for Laddu and ladies because they have a little bit of that
Mhm.
guarding instinct in them. So that's another like a tidbit for others who are trying to like resolve their dog's separation anxiety, that I kind of figured this with one of the clients' dogs I was working, that they would let the dog at the entrance door, like the door that would go to the entrance and exit. And the dog was a lot more hyper. And the moment they
Mhm.
would put the dog in the first floor of their house, the dog was like completely fine, like
Mhm.
no separation anxiety, because they could hear, like, listen to the dog's needs. The dog was constantly alert when alone because the dog had a certain instinct to be alert when alone.
Yeah.
And I think that's another bit about separation anxiety, is when they're alone, they are going to be on alert all the time,
Mm.
which will be distressing. They won't get sleep. They won't be able to like rest. They won't be able to like take it off, you know
Yeah.
um, so yeah, I think we did a lot of that groundwork, the foundational work, before addressing separation anxiety, which made the whole separation anxiety journey, to be honest, very easy, because we didn't have to prepare the timetable of 5 minutes, 10 minutes, you know,
Mhm.
things like that,
Yeah.
or do this random activity with her. She told us clearly when she was okay with what, and we had built our support system over a period of time where we weren't thrown in the deep end. Let's say if tomorrow I have to step out, like today I have to like figure out what to do with Zoe.
Yeah.
Was not a situation that I had with her. So that worked out for us. A lot of that foundational work that we had to do.
Mm. Yeah, and it's when you look at it like the groundwork, right? It's so much such a bigger part than the addressing the separation anxiety, right? The separation anxiety is just like a small piece of the much, 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 much bigger puzzle. And that's, I think, something that's being forgotten a lot of times, right? Um,
Yeah.
I listened to a I think it was a course by Amber Batson, and she said, yeah, the this like protocol of like stepping out for 5 minutes for 10 minutes, like for some dogs, you even going to the door, it's too much. And if you start with this like classic way of, let's call it classic way of training separation anxiety, is you already go out the door, right? So looking at the individual dog is so important and crucial, I think, because as you've mentioned for your client, getting a dog into on the first floor really helped the dog, but that doesn't mean that it will help every every dog with separation anxiety, right? For Zoe, it helped that Lado and Lady were there and all the groundwork that you did, but for some other dog, it wouldn't matter if another dog would be present. Or look at how it was with Sammy and Zoe. It was okay for Zoe to be left with Sammy when he was healthy and okay, but not when he got sick, right? And here is where I think the relationship part really comes in, right? Because you know your dog, and it's much easier to figure stuff out when the behavior changes, something changes. You're like, okay, we have this groundwork, something's not working for you, let me figure out what I have to tweak and change.
Yeah.
um yeah, so
Yeah. Yeah. I did want to point out, and I think like I know I've spoken about support system quite a bit, and it is something that I no matter what is the case with separation anxiety, I do talk about support system. I do encourage support system. I've talked about it even on my social media, but I know it's a privilege that a lot of us have, right? Like I have a work from home job. I'm mostly at home. Um, for most part my husband was working from home as well. We have my parents who can take care of Zoe. We have our domestic worker who can take care of Zoe. When my parents are not available, our domestic worker is not available. We have my husband's mother who is slowly learned how to take care of Zoe. So it's all a privilege. I completely acknowledge that part, but I feel like uh, it is a privilege because a lot of us lack it and some of us have access to it. But I think community living, community support is something that we all can benefit from as caregivers.
mm,
It could be caregivers of children, caregivers of old people, caregivers of sick people, caregivers of dogs, animals.
mm,
I think a community to rely on, to lean on, even just for emotional support. Like forget
yeah.
about the whole separation anxiety bit, right? Like even for someone whom I can go in and be like, I really need to vent this out, or I'm going through this issue. Is there somebody that who has had the same set of issues? They can from their lived experiences share what they had, what helped them. a community support is always beneficial, and I'm talking about like an offline community, a community that you're building locally, maybe hyper locally, with
Mm,
people around you that you can hang out with, meet with. You can show up for them, they can show up for you. um, is something that we all need to look at what's the value of it, because there is high value in community, especially for social beings like
mm,
us, right? Where having a social community is critical to our life and survival, right? So I recognize that it's a privilege, but I also recognize the need to have it.
mm,
uh, and a lot of the support system that I have is not paid support, right? It
yeah,
is just support because someone shows up for me and I can show up for them when they need. So it's more of I I'm here for you when in your time of need,
mm,
more than monetary support, right?
yeah,
So I think I know we all live and rely on monetary like support that we can pay for and get service in exchange, which is good too. We need that as well, but
mhm,
we also can benefit from having solid relationships, like through friends, family, through just people you meet,
yeah,
with shared interests, because it can benefit us so much. And honestly, the reason why I started working on Zoe separation anxiety, to be honest, was not for her well-being at all, because I could always decide to stay at home and not need a support system at all. It was
mm,
honestly for my mental health and my social health that I
yeah,
was like, I need to work on this. Not for her, because for her, I can stay at home and I'm like, yeah, okay, I'll take care of your needs. But my mental health and my social health was taking a hit, when I
yeah,
was being forced to stay at home. But it's a great way of like meeting people, like, you support somebody else who has a dog with separation anxiety and show up for them, and they'll show up for you, right? And that is because you build a solid relationship. So I know it's a privilege that I have, that I can start off by building a community and a support system for myself. But I think we all need to understand the value of it and then recognize how we can start working towards it, right?
mm,
Because I think the first line of solution seems to be how to fix my dog's separation anxiety behaviors, right? It's not
mm,
even separation anxiety, it's just the behaviors that we're trying to fix there, right?
mm,
uh, but I think our first question should be, who can I rely on, and
yeah,
who are the people that I can turn to, who can help me uh, to ensure that my dog is not distressed. So
yeah,
if I have to step out, who can I rely on? If we pose this question to people today, what are the answers that come up? If it is
mm,
no one, then it is high time we look at somebody that we like, one person, like start building it from that one person, and then
mm,
you will start, you know you'll see that village show up for you,
yeah,
right? And I think we have we have put that in the past now, right? Like, we've lost that village that could take care of the child. It takes a village to raise a
mm,
child, is what people say. I think it takes a village to support a caregiver, irrespective of what kind of a caregiver you are.
mm,
And I think we need to start building that village for ourselves now.
yeah, yeah, that's true. Oh, I have one more question. So if anyone watching has questions too, write them in the comment and we will answer them. But for like the final thought, do you have any advice, thought for people in the trenches of separation anxiety that they are facing right now?
um Support system for sure. Like and this is important irrespective of what situation, right? Because I think we needed the support system when Sammy fell sick. We needed the
Mhm.
support system when we have to step out of the city and someone needs to take care of the dogs.
Mm,
That support system, the people that you can rely on, is so critical, and it won't help us if we start looking for it when we are already in the thick of things.
yeah.
When we are already in midst of, like, for now, my sister is getting married, so I can't rely on my parents to take care of Zoe. I
Yeah.
can't rely on my husband to stay back because I'm stepping out. I can't rely on my husband's mother also because she's also attending the functions, right? So now who is my support system?
Mhm.
If I start thinking about it now, when I'm already in thick of things,
Yeah.
I've already put myself so much behind in my journey of being able to find that
Mhm.
support system, right? But now I already have a few answers. I just need to go in and seek out these people that I've already built a relationship with for over the years. Um, but that's one mistake we end up doing, right? Like, tomorrow I need somebody, today I start looking for who is that somebody and then like build up from there, right? So I think support system is so critical, irrespective of what, or even if you're not facing any situation. Like assume you have zero problems and challenges, you still need a support system.
Mhm.
So I definitely, and for dog caregivers, a support system who can understand your situations, maybe other dog caregivers or people who love dogs, you know, things like that. But I think a high focus on this counterintuitive, right, for separation anxiety, that okay, you want to help your dog to deal with separation anxiety, so you want them to start staying alone, but actually you don't let them be alone, so whatever that might be for you, right? Like, so for me it was some human had to be with Zoe
Mhm.
at all times, and we had to figure that out in some format. We did that for such a long time that then she started being like, okay, fine, I have to stay with these two dogs, I'll do it. I have to stay without any human for some time, I'll do it. Right. So we,
Mhm.
we could get to that place, but we had to figure out what was her no. And we're
Mhm.
like, okay, fine, this is no for you, we will not do it.
Mhm.
And we'll figure that out. So if that means that your dog doesn't like you stepping out of the house, then you have to figure out how to do that. If
Mhm.
your dog uh, doesn't like any human stepping out of the house, then you have to figure out how to do that. But whatever is a no to your dog, you have to figure out how you will ensure that that doesn't happen. Right? I think that's so counterintuitive because it's so hard to do, especially because I know that not stepping out of the house does take a toll on your mental health, right? Like not
Yeah.
having a social life, not forget social life. A lot of people for their own just financial needs, for their employment, have to step out of the house. it's
Yeah.
it's important, and I recognize that, right? So this constant tussle between your needs and your dog's needs becomes very hard, which is why support system becomes
Yeah.
helpful. So they're all like interlinked. But building a relationship, because if you're not showing up for your dog, you're not listening to your dog and their needs, I don't think you will be able to help them cope with their anxiety. At best, you'll be able to resolve behaviors and never resolve what they are feeling internally uh, when they're left alone. Um, and you're going to like then spoil the relationship you have with the dog or the dog's ability
Mhm.
to trust in you. So I think listening to the dog and building that relationship, not just in this situation, but in all of the other situations, is also key. So I think I would say support system and your relationship with your dog
Mhm.
becomes like the foundational bits for irrespective of what you're doing. But for separation anxiety, counterintuitive, whatever your dog does not want you to do, don't do it. Right? I think over a period of time they figure it out.
Mhm.
Um, they do show up for you when you need them to show up. I think there was a emergency in the night time. Yeah, in the night time we had an emergency. I think either my husband or I had to be taken to the hospital. And again, nighttime emergency. Who's going to come at
Mhm.
that hour, right? To take
Yeah.
care of Zoe. She showed up, and how? Like no issues.
Mhm.
She managed to stay at home. Um, she slept for a bit, she got up and then, walked around and then went back to sleep for a bit. I think about 2-3 hours she was around in the night time during an emergency. We had never tried this before. Um, and we were like, we don't have anybody to call and then stay with her either. And
Yeah.
nighttime, usually the street dogs are also restless. They're like, we want to go out, we don't want to stay at home and things like that. So night times are actually very challenging. And she still stayed at home, all because we did all of the other things that we are doing, right? So your dog will show up for you when you definitely need them to show up. So don't make them to show up for you every single time and keep asking more and more from them, especially when we have not done the groundwork. So
Mm.
I think that would basically sum up the entire conversation that we had. And that is like truly critical, but it does take a toll on your mental health. I know that, one of the biggest challenges of caregivers who are dealing with separation anxiety for their dogs is that their mental health is absolutely, sorry for the words, but like effed as well.
You can curse. It's okay.
Because I think we have to step out. We want to step out. We need a social life. We feel like we're giving up so much for the dog that we're not able to do anything else. Like everything about our life revolves around the dog. All of that happens. So I know that it does take a toll on your mental health, and
Mhm,
none of it is an unfair ask. You want to step out of the house. It's fair for you to want to step out of the house.
mhm,
You want to step out of the house because of your employment. Of course, it's important for you to step
mhm,
out of the house. I don't think any of us are advocating to let go all of your needs, which is why I know that there is a huge toll on mental health. I think at the time that we decided that okay, fine, let's start building the support system and building up to what we want for Zoe, was when I was like, I need to step out of the house. Like, we have just gotten married. My husband and I had not even gone for lunch
mhm,
together from the time that, we had gotten married. I was like, I need to step out and be able to go out without worrying how Zoe doing. Is she fine at home or not? Um, and you start resenting that caregiving role that you have in life
mhm,
because it does. So I know that it's a very hard one. But I think we do have to take it slow and take it at the dog's pace and
mhm,
do all of the other things that we spoke about, and also question whether this expectation of 8 hours staying alone, is it even a fair expectation of a social being?
yeah,
um we wouldn't do that. I don't think any of us stay alone with zero social interactions for
yeah,
so long, for extended periods of times. And we know if we do that, what happens to our mental health, which is
mhm,
exactly what we are talking about right
yeah,
now. So is it a fair expectation to have of our dogs who are also social beings?
yeah.
So I think all of this kind of sums up everything we have spoken.
Thank you, thank you, thank you so much for this awesome conversation. Just one more thing. Where can people find you if they wanna learn more about you and your the work you do?
This is my standard answer. I think I've said the same thing the last time we have chatted. Um, Social media, Instagram, Dogpawmise. I think the
Yeah,
spelling is written under
yeah,
my name here too. You will
yeah.
find me there on Instagram. Uh, but I would request you all to be very kind to me on social media because I'm not very consistent. I show up. I have my, as I mentioned, I'm neurodivergent. So I have my days, like periods, phases that I will post every day. And I have phases where I will not show up for a few days slash weeks at a time. So a little patient on my social media would be very highly appreciated.
So you might be there or you might not be there.
Yes, I might show up, may not show up. When I show up, I might talk about something random that you will be like, hi, you were not talking about this the last time around. Yeah, it happens. But I think yeah, but if you like street dog stories and like things that I observe of street dogs, even if it is far and few in between that the posts arrive, I think it's a good space to be in.
Yes, yes. I would highly recommend it, of course. Thank you for joining us today, Sujanya. It was great, and I am sure that I will have you back soon because I love talking to you, and we'll have you on whenever you are willing to come. Uh,
Thank
and
you so much.
yeah,
Thank you for calling, and I think we should have more conversations, live and offline also.
yes, I agree. So, goodbye, everyone.